Welcome to Advocate Today. I'm Aaron Dean. An Arkansas judge has temporarily blocked a new law that would make it a crime for bookstores and libraries to provide materials deemed harmful to young readers. The law would hold librarians and booksellers criminally liable if they knowingly give minors books that appeal to a, quote, prurient interest in sex. Numerous publishing groups and the Arkansas Library Association filed a First Amendment challenge to the law. The law also states that it would have created new processes to challenge library materials and block access to children. The largest public school district in the state of Texas is turning its school libraries into disciplinary centers. 28 of Houston's 85 schools will lose their libraries and librarians to this new plan. The district is also eliminating school librarian positions. Instead, the libraries will be called team centers for kids with behavioral issues. It's part of the Texas Education Agency's plan to turn around the failing district, and it's being met with criticism from city leaders, including Houston's mayor, who said revoking access to books is not the solution. And we're learning more about the secretive panel appointed to handle Florida's controversial standards for teaching Black history. According to NBC News, a majority of the members of the panel didn't agree with sections of the curriculum that are now drawing criticism. An anonymous member telling NBC News that 2 of the 13 members pushed to include language that instructed middle schoolers that enslaved people developed, quote, skills that could be used for their personal benefit, and that students learn about violence perpetrated against and by African Americans. Those 2 were identified as William Allen and Francis Presley Rice. Both are Black. Florida's Board of Education was required to change its Black history standards to comply with the Stop Woke Act, which bans instruction that might make members of one race feel guilty for past actions, or that people are privileged or oppressed based on race, gender, or national origin. The law is being challenged in court. The oldest historically Black collegiate fraternity in the U.S. is relocating its Florida convention because of the governor's policies. Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated called Governor Ron DeSantis' policies harmful, racist, and insensitive. The convention was scheduled for 2025. In May, the NAACP joined Equality Florida and others in issuing travel advisories for the Sunshine State, citing Stop Woke Act and anti-LGBTQ laws. But at least 9 other organizations or associations have pulled their conventions out of Orlando and Fort Lauderdale. WNBA star Brittney Griner will be taking some time away from the court to focus on her mental health. The Phoenix Mercury says that Griner will not travel with the team for the next 2 games. They also add that she has full support of the organization. Griner is months removed from serving time in a Russian penal colony after the state convicted her of smuggling charges. Garner has also faced attacks and threats while traveling with the Mercury this year, prompting players to push the WNBA for more charter options versus commercial travel. Jacksonville Jaguars coach Kevin Maxton recently came out as the first male coach in American professional sports. It's a step in the right direction for more queer visibility, but sports culture often leaves many athletes in the closet just to remain in the sport altogether. Bullying and abuse are also alive and well, with Northwestern University facing allegations from student athletes. I spoke with one former NFL player who came out in 2002 after 9 years in the league and who's hoping to change these stigmas with the organization Hate is Wrong. Being closeted in the NFL, how did the culture of just sports keep you from living in your truth?
We didn't have a lot of support back then. We didn't have anyone, that we could go to. The homophobia was super strong back then. Anytime like the topic of homosexuality would come out in the locker room, something negative would happen, like a big fight, or it was just not a safe space. So it's crazy because I tell everybody, I wake up every single morning, right? 9 years of my life playing the NFL, woke up every morning like everyone else, put on my clothes. But when I walked into that locker room, I transformed myself into somebody I wasn't, a straight man. So it was very difficult. But My background, I'm the youngest of 8 children in a Polynesian culture. I grew up poor in a grass hut. And it was one of those things where you have to, it's survival, right? It's something that you have to do so you can give back to your family and you can make ends meet and make sure, everything, is okay. But it was very difficult. Don't get me wrong. Just not being able to be yourself and your true authentic self. Listening to players and people around you with this homophobic slurs and, here and queer there, you just find a way, right, to survive, right? You just find a way every single day. I pray to God every single day, right, when I woke up to make sure that he protected you and make sure that no one would find out. Because, back in those days, if somebody found out that I was gay, I would have lost my job. I would have got hurt. I mean, the list can go on and on and on and on.
We're seeing a lot more, of course, athletes, but even now we're seeing a lot of coaches coming out. Recently, Jacksonville Jaguars coach Kevin Maxson recently came out as gay. What does that mean for the sports culture as a whole to, have more queer coaches? I'm sure this can also impact the athletes coming out in a positive way too, right?
Oh my gosh, representation is everything, right? Representation has gotten us to where we are right now. Anytime someone, it doesn't matter if you're in professional sports or anything, or any other profession, when you come out, it's such a beautiful thing. What it does is it educates people on our community. It brings that awareness to, to people that don't really understand our community. So yes, when Kevin came out, let me tell you this, when I read the story, I started tearing up, right? Because I started tearing up because what he wanted is, I think, what everybody wants, right? So the craziness of being in the 9 years in the NFL, right, and getting to the highest pinnacle of your life, right, and not being able to share it with anyone, right, and having to live that lie and date women and go to strip clubs and just do yada yada, whatever it is, right? And after reading his story and all the things that he said, it resonated within me, right? So people don't really understand that it's not. I'm 6'4", 300 pounds. I'm Samoan. I can fight, right? I can take care of myself. But what's the hardest thing ever was getting to that highest pinnacle in your life and not being able to share it with the person that you love. I completely get it. People need to understand that's what we yearn for, man. Anyone, right? Gay or straight, man. Anytime you reach that pinnacle in your life where you become a CEO or you just, anything, you reach that top pinnacle and you're not able to share it with the person that you love, man, that is crazy, right? That's what hurts the most.
Do you think that locker rooms and the organizations are becoming a little bit more inclusive? Kind of share a little bit of your thoughts on where things are currently at and where things need to go.
The NFL is coming, has come a long way. Obviously, we need to go a lot further. With the community, I believe the NFL has sort of like got it, right? They're out there doing community service. They're donating money to organizations and stuff like that. They're advertising towards the LGBTQ, community because they know the pink dollar is worth something now. But when it becomes in the trenches, that's where I want to get. That's where we need to be, right? That's where we need to start talking to like the coaches, the owners, the players, and just having a visualization of a gay NFL player that's been there before. And so out there talking to the fellas. Right now, the NFL, sometimes, they bring in these organizations and stuff that have nothing or don't know anything about the NFL, right? They don't know how it is in the trenches or what we went through in the trenches. The coaches need to put their foot down. NFL need to bring in players that played in the game to come and speak, right? And to educate some of these players. The Minnesota Vikings are getting it, man. Seriously, I go over there to the Minnesota Vikings. I guess, everybody's dapping and making sure they come up. It's incredible, what they're doing there. They're not tolerating anything, right? No discrimination at all, right? I hope, that stands, but that's how the Minnesota Vikings is right now. And I'm proud to say that I played here most of my years and I live in this beautiful state of Minnesota.
Thanks for watching Advocate Today. Download the app in the Apple or Google Play Store to stream us live. And you can even subscribe on the Advocate Channel YouTube page. I'm Aaron Dean. Thanks for joining us.